Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to use the text group in the content tab of the Timesavers add-in. The text group contains tools that allow you to change the line spacing and the paragraph spacing of your text, and it also has a tool that allows you to find and replace text in selected shapes or slides. So first let's have a look at these tools over here that allow you to change the line and paragraph spacing of your text. First, you can change the line or paragraph spacing of all the text in a selected shape, or you can select specific text in the shape that you want to change the line or paragraph spacing for. If you select a whole shape, it will do all the text in that shape, and you can also select multiple shapes and change the spacing in multiple shapes at one time. Okay, so if I have a shape selected like this, these buttons over here allow me to quickly and easily just expand or increase or decrease the line spacing of the text in this shape. So if I just go and click over here, then my spacing is going to increase, and over here it's going to decrease. And if I use this button and this one, it will do it increasing and decreasing as well, just by smaller increments. Okay, then these buttons over here allow me to set the line spacing to a specific value. So if I want double line spacing, I can put in over here a 2, and then I can go and click on here, and that will give me double line spacing for all the text in that shape. If I want single line spacing, I can type in here a 1, and then I can click on there and I'll get single line spacing. I can also use fractions, so something like 1.5, and then click on here, that'll give me 1.5 line spacing. You can also use other kinds of fractions, so 1.8 or something like that. Okay, then like I said, you can also go and change the line spacing of specific text you've selected. So if I want to change the line spacing for this paragraph, then I need to select some of the text in this paragraph. When you select text, it will apply it to the whole paragraph that contains the text that you've selected. So you can't select just one word and apply it to just that one word. It will apply to the whole paragraph. So if I select, say, this word over here, it's part of this paragraph, so this whole paragraph is going to be affected when I do this. So I can go and change the line spacing for that paragraph like that. Then this button over here allows me to get the line spacing of an existing paragraph and then apply it to other paragraphs or other shapes with text. So if I am happy now with the line spacing in this paragraph, I can go and click on here to find out what that line spacing is. You can see it gets filled in this field over here. And then once I've done that, I can then go and use that to change the line spacing for the whole text. So I go and using this value that's in here, I can now go and click on there and it will apply that same line spacing to all the text in that shape. Or if I'd selected other specific text, it would apply that line spacing to that other specific text as well. Okay, so that's using these buttons over here for the line spacing. So I'm just going to put that back to single line spacing again. Then over here, I have got buttons for changing the paragraph spacing. These ones are for changing the space before the paragraph, and these ones are for changing the space after the paragraph. If you want to change the space before the paragraph, you have, just like with this over here, you have the option of just increasing or decreasing the spacing. So these two buttons will increase and decrease by large increments by 6 points each, and these two buttons will increase and decrease by smaller increments just by 1 point each. So if I take this over here and I click over here, it's going to increase my line space or my paragraph spacing between the paragraphs by 6 points, and here it's going to decrease it by 6 points, and here I can increase by 1 point and decrease by 1 point. Then just like over here, I had the option of setting the line spacing, I can set the paragraph spacing as well. And as you can see over here, this was in points. So when you're doing the paragraph spacing, the value that you're going to use, you're going to also put it in here, but it's going to be in points. So if I want to set it to 10 points, I'm going to put a 10 in over there, and I can go and click on here, and that will give me a 10-point space above each of the paragraphs. Then I also have the option of doing it, so I'm just going to put that back to 0 quickly and change that back to 0. That means I'm taking it out. You also can just decrease it until there's no space anymore. Okay, then I can also change the spacing after the paragraph as well. So over here, if I go and change the spacing after the paragraph, it's going to look the same as when I was doing it with this, but you can see over here that the space is now, it's part of this line, whereas when I just decrease that again, actually do for the whole shape. Okay, so now if I go and use this one, you can see that this space is part of this line over here. It's not part of that line. Okay, so sometimes you'll find that it's better to have the space before the paragraph, and sometimes it's better to have the space after the paragraph, depending on what you're using it for. Okay, so just like when you're doing the line spacing, you can also get the paragraph spacing before or after the paragraph, and then it'll fill it in over here in this field, and then you can use that to set the space before or after the paragraphs for other text as well. So you can do the same thing as you can for the line spacing by getting and setting the paragraph spacing. Okay, so that's changing the spacing. Then the next tool that I have over here in the text group is for finding and replacing text. So over here, when you are working with PowerPoint normally, you can only find and replace text throughout the entire document. If you click on replace all, it will find and replace the text throughout the entire presentation. You won't be able to do it just for a few slides or just for selected shapes. So I've created this tool that you can use to find and replace text for selected slides or shapes. Okay, so first of all, you can select the shape that you want to, or the shapes that you want to, or the slide that you want to, and put in what you want to find. So if I want to find the word bright, and I want to replace it with the word light, for instance, then if I select a particular shape and I go and click on this button over here, it will change all the brights to lights. Now you see over here you've got a few options. You've got match case, whole words, and replicate. So let me just undo that quickly. If I choose to match the case, that means it's going to search for words that match what I've got in the find field exactly, and it won't change things if it doesn't match that exactly. So over here, when I go and find and replace, it will only change this one and this one, because it won't change this one because this is all capital letters, which doesn't match that, and I won't change this one because the first letter doesn't match the first letter over there. So if you've got match case selected, it will only replace things that match the case of your find field over here exactly. Okay, so let me just undo that quickly. Then if you choose to have the whole words selected, then when you go and click over here, it will only change things that are whole words. So this bright over here, which is part of the word brightness, didn't change because it's not a whole word. So you can choose if you want to have only whole words replaced, or if you want to have parts of words replaced as well. Okay, then I'm going to just undo that. Then you can also choose if you want to attempt to replicate the case. Now just be aware that when you're choosing to replicate the case, it isn't going to be guaranteed to work exactly how you want to. What it will do is it will see if your word that it's replacing is all lowercase, it will replace with something that is all lowercase. If you are replacing with something that is all uppercase, or if you are replacing a word that is all uppercase, it will replace with all uppercase. If you are replacing something that is a mixture of lowercase and uppercase, and the first letter is uppercase, then it will replace with sentence case, which is the same, that you have the first letter uppercase and then the rest is lowercase. So just be aware that that is what the replicate case means. When you've got a mixture, it's going to change it to sentence case. Okay, so let me just show you what that looks like. So if I go over here and I click on find and replace, you can see that the light over here is still uppercase because bright was all uppercase. Over here, this light, the first letter is uppercase and the rest is lowercase, and so that's because it was like that before. Okay, so in the examples I've done so far, I've only had this particular shape selected. So you can find and replace text in specific shapes. So I can do the same thing with these two shapes, and then that one won't be affected. So you can see now these ones have been changed and this one has not been affected. So it will only find and replace in what you have selected. You can also select text, so I can choose to only select this text, and then when I do it, it'll only affect words that it finds in the selected text. And you can also do it on selected slides. If I select the slide over here, it will find and replace on that whole slide. And then you can obviously also use a combination of these different options here as well. And that is how you use the text group in the content tab of the Time Savers add-in. I hope that has been helpful, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you. Goodbye.